Good morning, everyone. So today I want to touch upon a topic on mind control and how we see it normally in society today, and how it plays off in the dating scene, in relationships, and also in marriages, but mostly in dating and relationships. Now, I found out about MK Ultra in 2010. I heard about it and I started reading forums and articles online about it, and I was just in disbelief about it. I was like, wow, I cannot believe there's actually 1 million people under MK Ultra, and they're totally undetectable and you just wouldn't know it, and every single entertainer is under it. So it was very hard for the population to believe this. At that time it was like only a few people would know about it in forums, and people wouldn't really talk about it because you would look insane just even mentioning the word MK Ultra, which stands for mind control, but with a K. So I kept an eye on it. I started looking on it, I started researching, learning more about it in different other forums as they kept growing over the years, and now it's all over the internet. Now it's with the Pizzagate, it's it's one of the main topics now, so a lot of people know about it. But I wanted to do a video on how it plays off and how I've seen it play off, and I see it every day play off in relationships and in the dating world. The same protocols that goes on in MK Ultra training. Now, in today's world, people will act out of character, in relationships, and they won't even know why they did it. And then at the end, once the spell is over, they kind of regret doing anything, and they're like, wow, that's something I wouldn't really do, but I was just so in love with this person, or I just felt so attracted to this person that I started to do it. Whatever it is that they told me to do. Almost every single song you hear in the radio now, it's like, it's all about slavery, basically being a slave to somebody, and with emotions, financially, mentally, in any physical, in any way you could think of, you are pretty much making affirmations to be a slave to somebody. I love him, I need him, I want her, girl, this. It's it's creating you to subconsciously want something. Okay, so let's say that you meet someone and you're hearing this song on the radio, it pops up, okay, and you're going through some sort of issue with this person, but you're not sure about that person. That song playing in the back of your mind is going to actually persuade you to want that person, even though that person might not be the right person for you. But it's going to persuade you, and eventually you won't even know it, but you're going to be attached to that person, for whatever reason, when you shouldn't. So people don't know this, but spells are words. Okay, words are spells. It's so powerful when you don't know about it, when it's subconscious, that you are basically under hypnosis and you won't even know it. Now, when you are conscious about something, then it has no power over you. But when it's unconscious, then it has all the power in the world over you. Now, what I read in MK Ultra, and you can read it for yourself, is that the first thing that they do is that for 18 months they get the child or the subject to bond with the handler, to bond with the person that's going to handle them. And they usually bond for 18 months. I don't know why it's 18 months. I'm still trying to find out what is the psychology about why specifically 18 months. But in relationships or in dating, usually the person that's handling you wants to be with you at a certain period, so usually around 2 weeks or 3 weeks before they they put the brakes on you. But during those 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe a month or two, could be a year or more, depending on how how they see you falling for them. Then then it's when they start the conditioning process, which is when they put the brakes on you. But in MK Ultra, what they do is that the handler starts to reject the victim, and severely torture them and deprive them of things. Now, if you want to read into this, you go ahead and read it online. If you have severe trauma, I wouldn't recommend you reading this because it does trigger you. But I started to see these patterns play off in real life with people. So then you're on the dating scene. The person's constantly insinuating that they want to be with you, that they love you, that they admire you, that they're attracted to you. They confirm this all the time. But then after you want to put some boundaries and you want to set the tone, you want to know what's going on, where do you stand, they put the brakes on you. Okay, they'll be like, oh, I'm not ready. All of a sudden, it's just so contradicting. All this action, all these insinuations, and then all of a sudden I'm not ready, or they'll just stop talking to you or calling you, you know, so you could go and think that there's something wrong with you. You know, this is manipulation, guys. And I get a lot of these tarot card readings where people want to know, you know, their future with their manipulators, you know, and I'm here thinking to myself, my God, if they would only know. And I tell them, you're under a spell, people, you're under a spell. So after the conditioning process, they give you conditions of what you should do in order for them to continue to give you, you know, their affection, their attention, or for you to keep seeing them. And then they'll start asking you for things that are basically met in real relationship, inside a relationship. They'll start asking you for sex, time, not to see other people, and all that stuff. So they'll start asking you for that in order for you to see them. And you will fall for it, because by this time you're already attached. And it's like they say, after 2 months of being with a person, you gotta set the tone, and you gotta see what's going on, because after that you're going to be attached to that person. So don't go any further unless you know what's going on with that person, you know, what is that person, because after that you're going to be in a severe spell with that person, doing things that you would never do, okay, because now you're attached to that person. And in MK Ultra, after the personalities have split, after all that torture, they get to choose what personality is going to do what, okay. So this is something that I've noticed, and people need to notice this in society, like how, you know, how deep the rabbit hole is going. And, you know, be aware of it. You know, be aware of it when someone's petting you, or when someone's grooming your personality. You know, I'm very wary about it. Like when someone says something like at the beginning, like, oh, you seem like you have a nice personality. Well, what does it seem like to you that I have a nice personality? Is it because of the way I look? Well, that's more like, oh, I like your looks. It's more of a lusty thing. But when you're saying something, I have a nice personality, is something you would say to someone after you finish talking to them in a conversation, or, you know, in 2 weeks of knowing them. They say, hey, you know, after all these days, you know, I think you have a nice personality. But you don't go around saying that to someone you just saw like in 2 seconds. That's just ungenuine, and that's just a precursor to what's to come, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to do more videos like this. Namaste.